Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. I am Susan Ali and here are tonight's main headlines. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq greets His Excellency the President of Singapore on him being elected as the new President of the Republic. The dry dock company in Duqm is working on manufacturing 2 new vessels as part of 144 projects during the first half of the current year. The identity of the National System for Capacity Building and Talent Management is launched. And workshops in Muscat review executive plan for national strategy of zero neutrality. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency Tharman Shanmuga Ratnam on him being elected as the new President of the Republic of Singapore. The dry dock company in Duqm is currently working on manufacturing 2 new vessels for Blue Waters Company, a subsidiary of Fisheries Development Oman, and for the National Ferries Company. The 2 projects are part of 144 different projects that the company has received during the first half of the current year. The dry dock company has become a maritime destination for vessel making, maintenance and repair, connecting east and west in logistic operations. With growing needs for moving products in the Duqm Special Economic Zone, the dry dock company has worked on expanding its available services, taking into account the rapid economic growth in the region. A conference on capacity building and talent management was held in Musandam Governorate. The conference aims to establish a unified national system for developing national competencies with competitive capabilities locally and globally. During the conference, the identity of the National System for Capacity Building and Talent Management was launched, which is one of the programs of Oman 2040 vision to organize all activities related to this category. The conference was held under the auspices of His Excellency Sayyid Ibrahim bin Saeed Al Busaidi, Governor of Musandam. The National Committee to Combat Human Trafficking, NCCHT, launched Insan campaign for the year 2023 to raise awareness on human trafficking and the efforts to combat it. More details in the coming report.
To transfer shelter or receive a person by coercion, under threat, trick, exploitation of position or power, and exploitation of weakness. This is the official definition of human trafficking, which the Sultanate of Oman stands firmly against.
Today's campaign is basically to enhance the awareness of what should be done collectively, from the individual to the society, to the civil society, to our partners who export laborers and so on, is to send a message that we are all partners to help whoever a victim of human trafficking, be it from within the society or outsiders, because this is a violations of the code of conduct, violations of the human dignity, and violations of human rights.
On this basis, the National Committee to Combat Human Trafficking (NCCHT) launched Insan campaign for the year 2023 to raise awareness on human trafficking and the efforts made to combat it, a campaign that will last for 2 months with specific targets.
Insan campaign 2023 targeting all the peoples in Oman from all the nationalities and from different languages. We are using different languages in our SMS and our messages that can be reached to the people. Also, we are using billboards for the airports, Muscat airports and also Salalah airports. Also, we are doing a lot of seminars and activities, workshops, also writing articles in all the newspapers and also using social media from all the authorities that is involved in the national committee.
It's noteworthy to mention that the hotline number is available 24/7 for reporting human trafficking crimes here in the Sultanate of Oman, available in English and Arabic, as well as translators speaking many other languages, and is connected directly to the Royal Oman Police. The National Committee to Combat Human Trafficking also receives cases in different languages through their official website. The Sultanate of Oman stands firm against any cause that violates international laws. Here is an example through Insan campaign of 2023 that stands for awareness against human trafficking. For Oman TV, Ahmed bin Hilal al-Busaidi, Muscat.
Seeking to reach a unified executive plan to achieve zero neutrality, workshops began in Muscat with the participation of a number of private and public bodies in continuation of following up and implementing the national strategy of zero neutrality. Here's a report.
In addition to following up and implementing the national strategy for the orderly transition to zero neutrality, workshops have begun in Muscat in an effort to reach a unified executive plan with the addition of a number of projects to achieve the interim targets based on motives.
Last year, the Sultanate has launched its national strategy, which is followed up by the national program of net zero emission. And this year, we actually decided to have certain workshops under the umbrella of different sectors.
The workshops entitled Sector Plans to Reach Zero Neutrality are organized by the National Zero Neutrality Program for a whole month, in which a number of representatives of government and private bodies, experts and academics are taking part.
Our strategy during this workshop to work very close to all 5 sectors. The main 5 sectors, what we will concentrate in it is the power sectors, oil and gas sectors, industrial, transportations, and buildings and cities.
In its first week, the seminars discuss the plans of the electricity sector and then follow up the programs of the plans of other sectors, namely cities and buildings, transport, industry, oil and gas, and other possible sectors.
Our sectors as NEMA distributions as well as a whole NEMA sectors, we are participating from generations of the electricity till the supplying and distribution of electricity.
Zero neutrality is defined as striving to achieve a balance between the amounts of emissions released to the atmosphere compared to the amount of reduction to reach the zero target, and work is underway in the Sultanate of Oman to apply the path through the guidelines for an orderly and balanced transition.
Their Excellencies, the Undersecretaries of Education in the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, held the preparatory meeting for the 7th meeting of the Committee of Their Excellencies, the Ministers of Education in the GCC countries. The meeting proposed forming a team from GCC education ministries to draft a unified proposal on international cooperation in fields in education, as well as approving a proposal for awareness programs for school students related to information security and safe use of digital platforms. The meeting also discussed integrating all Gulf organizations and offices under the umbrella of the Secretariat General and protecting moral, religious, and family values in Gulf societies. It also focused on cooperation in achieving the 4th goal of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals for good education. The meeting was chaired by His Excellency Dr. Abdullah bin Khamis Abu Saidi, Undersecretary of the Ministry of Education for Education. Their Excellencies, the Undersecretaries of the Ministries of Higher Education and Research in the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, held their preparatory meeting for the 23rd meeting of the Committee of Their Excellencies, the Ministers of Higher Education and Research in the Gulf Cooperation Council countries in Muscat. The meeting discussed the decisions of the Supreme Council in its 43rd session related to the general framework for priority joint studies and research in the sustainable development of the Council countries. It also reviewed the projects of the Committee of Ministers of Higher Education and Research in the GCC countries related to strengthening joint Gulf action and following up on the implementation of the committee's strategic plan 2022-2026. The meeting was chaired by His Excellency Dr. Bukhait bin Ahmed Al Mahri, Under-Secretary of the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation for Higher Education. Children First Association and Al-Izz Islamic Bank signed a memorandum of understanding to support the First Oman Children Conference and Exhibition scheduled to be held this September. The memorandum aims to secure a bright future for children and provide growth opportunities and comprehensive support to help them in addition to empowering them in various fields. The agreement was signed by Her Highness Dr. Munna bint Fahad bin Mahmoud Al Saeed, chairperson of the Board of Directors of Children First Association. Still to come in our news bulletin. The Sultanate of Oman's embassy in the Kingdom of the Netherlands takes part in the Embassy Festival in The Hague. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Vice Admiral Abdullah bin Khamis al-Raisi, Chief of Staff of the Sultan's Armed Forces, received Lieutenant General Hu Kengming, Chief of Staff of the Chinese Navy, and the military delegation accompanying him. During the meeting, the Chief of Staff of the Sultan's Armed Forces welcomed the guest, and both sides discussed a number of topics and matters of common interest. Rear Admiral Saif bin Nasser al-Rahbi, Commander of the Royal Navy of Oman, also received Lieutenant General Hu Kengming, Chief of Staff of the Chinese Navy, and the military delegation accompanying him. During the meeting, they exchanged viewpoints and discussed a number of matters with mutual concern in the marine field. Lieutenant General Hu Kengming, Chief of Staff of the Chinese Navy, and the military delegation accompanying him visited today the Maritime Security Center. During the visit, the guest and his accompanying delegation were briefed on the tactical roles and tasks carried out by the center in safeguarding the Omani maritime environment. They also toured the Maritime Security Center facilities and viewed its latest equipment and technologies used in carrying out its national duties. The Military Technological College organized the Orientation Week for General Diploma students and on-job training students in coordination with the Ministry of Labor. The Orientation Week included a variety of activities and programs to familiarize 11th batch students with the registration process, English language placement tests, and lectures on military instructions and guidelines. Staff Command of the Sultan's Armed Forces, in coordination with the Ministry of Labor, started implementing employment and evaluation processes in order to recruit a number of citizens holding educational qualifications. Applicants will undergo a number of tests, including physical examinations, practical and theoretical tests. As part of its continuous efforts to employ national workforce, Royal Oman Police received a new batch of recruits in the Sultan Qaboos Academy for Police Sciences after they successfully passed the police force entry tests. The recruits will undergo a number of educational programs, military training, legal studies, and physical exercises that will enable them to perform their national duties. This comes within the efforts of the Royal Oman Police to employ national cadres and provide the best police services to the public. The new recruits expressed their joy for being admitted to the academy to complete their training and join the police force afterwards. The Sultanate of Oman, represented by its embassy in the Kingdom of the Netherlands, participated in the Embassy Festival, which is held annually in The Hague. His Excellency Sheikh Dr. Abdullah bin Salim Al Harthi, Ambassador of the Sultanate of Oman to the Kingdom of the Netherlands, received in the Omani Pavilion the Mayor of The Hague, the ambassadors of the participating countries, the Chairman of the Netherlands Business Council for the Middle East and North Africa, and a number of senior officials. The visitors were briefed on important tourism destinations and historical landmarks in the Sultanate of Oman and its cultural significance. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq greets His Excellency the President of Singapore on him being elected as the new President of the Republic. The dry dock company in Duqm is working on manufacturing 2 new vessels as part of 144 projects during the first half of the current year. The identity of the National System for Capacity Building and Talent Management is launched. Workshops in Muscat review executive plan for national strategy of zero neutrality. With that, we come to the end of tonight's bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night, and until next time.